Yeah, just chop me manically laughing or running away out of the final edit.
Yeah. My name's Mike Dickinson.
Hello, my name is Emily.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I've been at the theatre for about 3 years now. I originally got involved with the youth group and I've been working with them and helping backstage and being dragged on stage sometimes.
Done lots of things for the theatre. I started when I was 12 or 13, joined the children's workshop. Took a break for various things. I went off to study a master in got a Masters of Theatre, went and worked in LA for a bit, doing some editing for a show called The Office.
Acting at Medway Little Theatre for quite some time now. Been quite a few shows. Directed The Lady Killers a couple of years ago. Appeared in Charlie's Aunt. We did Brian Friel's Philadelphia, Here I Come. I think that was last year.
The adult plays, I've been in 39 Steps. I was in Mozart in Love, which is an original production. And I was in Diary of Anne Frank just last year.
This is the first time I've got to work with Emily, who blew me away when I saw her do Mary Shelley. She played Mary Shelley. She had to go through a very powerful labour scene on this very stage, and I would have to say it's the most visceral thing I've ever seen in amateur theatre. And yeah, it's a real pleasure working with her.
I really wanted to do something different. So I thought I would bring something different to the play and try directing.
I found myself in the very privileged position of our director Dan, having found this script and presenting it to us.
The fact that you can scare people when you've got people in the room, that they're a part of it, they're following the journey with you, that for me is the best kind of theatre. So the idea that MLT would be putting on a show like that, I had to be a part of it.
Well, I'm very much a horror buff. I love horror in all its forms, from strange Asian horror films to classic Gothic literature, which is what I decided to go with, to modern horror movies or modern horror books. I'm a big fan of things like Stephen King, but the thing that I like the most and thought would be the most relevant and successful on stage is something Gothic, a good old-fashioned English ghost story. Ironically, it's not an English ghost story, it was written by an American, but set in England.
Firstly, I love a good ghost story. Secondly, I'd studied the story before at university, loved it then.
My role, the governess she comes to London to get a job as a governess. She has had a pretty rough upbringing, it suggests, and she's introduced to this family in Bly, two children, and a housekeeper. And whilst there, she encounters some spirits, and whether or not these are a figment of her imagination is up to you.
What I really wanted to do was capture some of that darkness, not to do something that was too well lit, but to have lots of looming shadows, lots of things that you half see. And when I found this particular play, it ticked all the boxes. It was a story that I knew. I'd seen it previously as its film adaptation by Jack Clayton, The Innocents, which I loved, and I thought that's perfect.
Yes, I get to play multiple roles in this. The original story by Henry James is in fact framed with 3 framing devices. Firstly, it's an unnamed narrator says, "I'm going to tell you a ghost story," and then it goes to another guy who told the ghost story to him, who then says, "This is this governess's ghost story." So I get to play the narrator in a way, who we could say is Henry James. I also play the creepy uncle, as it were, and the young boy, the 10-year-old boy.
Focusing on the acting and the staging of it, which is what I wanted, rather than having too many extra things going on.
But no costume changes. We're on all the time. Really, there's no interval, and it's very exciting, a real challenge actually.
The way the play is written is so ambiguous, and having so many weeks and having the rehearsals as we're going to have, we're exploring a lot, and I think that's really important in a play like this, because we want to get as much across as we possibly can. So many layers, and each rehearsal something else is revealed.
Once I'd realised that it wasn't very long, I thought that's fine, that's perfect for what it is. I would add in a bit more to the evening. So I decided to add some readings. So we'll have The Raven and The Telltale Heart, both by Edgar Allan Poe. And I'll make that interesting. It won't just be a static reading. There'll also be a reading of Warning for the Curious by M.R. James, who I really loved and wanted to get onto the evening somehow. So I've done an abridged version of that to add to the evening. So it'll be a whole Halloween treat, a whole Halloween experience.
Wow, what's my favourite horror story? I'm a bit of a fan of the Victorian ghost stories, just like our director. I like a bit of M.R. James. My favourite of his that springs to mind is probably The Mezzotint.
For me, it's Woman in Black. I still suffer with the idea that perhaps she's going to appear and take my child.
Film-wise, The Others really springs to mind with this, which is sort of based on A Turn of the Screw. Nicole Kidman. Eric Sykes is in The Others, which is a great role for him.
So we might get into something like Ishi the Killer, or something really oddball like the work of Takashi Miike, like Visitor Q. I was always very into the work of Stephen King, so I like things like The Stand and Carrie and things like that. Or something by Rob Zombie. The Devil's Reject has always been one of my favourite films because it's very intense, it's very dark, but there's a lot of humour there. I guess I always came back to the ghost story. I always liked dark looming shadows and that mystery of what's in the dark and what's there. And I think some of my favourite stories are the ones that I'm actually presenting in this Halloween evening.
People will be coming and going home with a lot of questions.
The more you delve into this play, the more you realise it's not simply a ghost story. It's not simply a drama or a thriller. It's so many things, there's so many layers to it. You see patterns crop up. You see that it's famously supposed to be quite ambiguous, so a lot of it is left up to the imagination of the viewer, of the audience in this case. But there are little things that you pick up on that give you clues and hints and pull you one way and the other. And there's lots of nice little touches in there. In many ways it goes to quite dark places, and the more you rehearse it and the more you delve into it, the more of that you see, but it gives you more of a challenge, gives you more to present, so there's more there for the actors to work with, which I think is a great thing to get stuck into.
It's totally in our imagination as an audience, as an actor. We are all imagining it together, and they should come for the journey. You know, it's Halloween soon, and what better way than to have a cheap night at the theatre locally and watching something that will genuinely scare you.
So even if you're not really into horror, there is so much more there. It's a really great play to come and see. Whatever you enjoy, I think you get something out of it.
I would recommend that anyone come and see this show, especially if you're of a nervous disposition.